Shalom, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Barakatah, Yahweh Shema Adam Hashem Yahushai. This is the ISBK. Started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York in 1969 under commanding General Yohanan. And we're here to teach the truth of the Bible to so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians, or the real Israelites according to the scriptures. And what we got here, of course, Friday class, the Hebrew class, the ancient Hebrew, the Lashawan Kodash, the Holy Tongue. This is the class where we unified our language. You know what I'm saying? The 12 tribes of Israel have been scattered throughout all four corners of the earth. We've been forced to speak different languages. I'm speaking to you in a slave language right now called English. You understand? And so in order for us to unify back to our culture, we follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. But of course, our language is the oldest language that is known on this planet. And the Lashawan Kodash, we've been going back to the basics to get a good foundation, you understand? Which is great for new students that are just now coming into the school. Bear with me 1 second. All I gotta do here is I just gotta make sure to share the class. I'm gonna have what's here on the screen for a moment. So there'll be a moment here of quietness while I will go ahead and put this class out in the airwaves. And for those of you that are tuning in, make sure that in order to get credit for the class, if you're tuning in online, go ahead and leave a comment, whether you're in Facebook, whether you're in YouTube, and here's a salute for the men, here's a salute for the women. It goes as follows: Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Barakatah, followed by your name, city, and state where you are tuning in from. For the women, it's Yahweh Shamar Alatah or Alatan Hashem Yahushai, name, city, and state. Same thing, right? But slightly different for the women. That's how you check in. So you would then put your name, city, and state after the salute. I typically write in all caps. I recommend that you just get used to writing in all caps because Hebrew is very outspoken. It's very loud language. Let's go ahead and leave that on the board along with what we went over last class, which we're briefly going to cover. And then I want to start trying to write bigger on the board so that y'all can see better. Until we get our new school situated, where I'll be using more of a digital approach. But this should be too wild for now. We're going to go over some vocabulary words today. It's going to be great. All right. Bear with me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and keep that where it is right there. All right. Give me 1 second. That's very important, y'all, especially if you're new to the truth, coming into the school, learning the language. It's a very important part of the process for you to get used to the culture that we're coming back to here in this time. You understand? Most High Christ. For those of y'all just tuning in, make sure to like the class, sign into the class using the sentences that are at the bottom of the screen there. What you're saying when you do the salute is, Most High, in the name of Christ, bless you. Or for the women, God watch over you in the name of Christ. Most High watch over you in the name of Christ. Let me go to Christ. All right. Give it 1 more minute here. I just need to go ahead and post it. So, dang. Give y'all a second to write what's on the board here. Again, we went over the hieroglyphs of the Lashawan Kodash, or I'm not trying to sound Egyptian with that, but the pictorial meaning behind each character in the language of the ancient Hebrew. One of the oldest languages on earth is what we're looking at right here when you're looking at the ancient Hebrew. And so it's imperative that we understand and respect how this language was the derivative language that sprouted out and became a lot of other languages that exist today. Now, again, it being a more derivative language, it is not as complicated as languages now, therefore Hebrew does not use vowels. And so in the ISUPK, under Commander General Yohanan, we don't pronounce our Hebrew with vowels. Okay? So let that be known. That's something that even when you look at some of the higher education mastery systems like Yale, Cambridge, big major schools like that were founded. Originally, those schools were founded to learn the Bible and the laws of the Bible, but eventually those schools became laws of whatever country that you find them in. So they became law colleges or Ivy League colleges, but back then they used to be about understanding biblical terms and laws and things like that. And when it comes to the language, there was a biblical Hebrew book that was actually produced from Yale University, published by Yale University. And even then, they would say exactly what we're telling you right now, that the Lashon Kodash does not use any vowels. You understand? So don't be surprised when you don't hear us pronounce it the same way Jewish man does today. It's just simply based off of the fact that we come into this school and we straight up show you the old school way of doing things, the getting the repetition in of following the laws, getting the repetition in of reading for the Sabbath services, those things that as you get more involved, it becomes a lot easier for you to really develop as a Hebrew, you understand, which is what we're trying to do here. Is what we're trying to do is trying to get back to our heritage and get back to our customs and the language of the Ancient of Days and the language of the Hebrew Israelites. This is, again, it's just a part of the process, and it can't be ignored and it can't be overlooked as something that's, half-stepped, something that we all have to start to take more serious. You understand? ISUPK, you'll see us talking in Hebrew at the high holy days and events like that. I don't really see, I know there's a lot of groups out there that try to follow the Bible and try to call themselves Hebrew Israelites and all that, but are they coming correct? Are they really figuring this thing out? Are they really trying to gather together with the nation of Israel? Well, I don't think so. That's how we're going to try. What I will say is this: Lashon Kodash, even in its visual representation, its visual presentation, it shows very easily that it is a language separate from all the other languages that come before it, mainly because of its visual meanings of these words. It's like, let me get a towel to wipe the board. Give me 1 second. We're too up. So what we went over last class, and again, this is just a recap. I'm gonna keep it short, keep it sweet, because we got other stuff to look at today. I kind of want to leave this here on the board because it does have the salute. This is how you check in. For those of you that are just now tuning in, to check into the class, you'll type in the sentence here based on whether you're male or female, followed by the Hebrew phrase here, followed by the name, city, and state that you're tuning in from. So the Hebrew alphabet: Abba, Gada, Hawaza, Chataya, Kalamana, Sa'aipa, Tazakwa, Rasha, Tha. Every single one of these characters visually means something as well. Really quickly, the letter A, the main word, the first word, represents cattle. Okay, cattle, cows, bulls, things like that. Lamb could be an example. Sheep. Ba represents a house. It represents a house. In fact, when you think of a stereotypical house that you would draw, you would almost draw it just like that. The only thing missing is that wall right there. So that's not a surprise. Ga represents the camel. You got your food, house, and transportation. You can live without a house, technically, if you have enough food. but you need food. So that's like the first thing. And then you have the housing, you have transportation. So these two things are like your essentials: food and housing. Food and housing. Transportation, get where you need to get to make life easier. And you have the door, da. We talked about this. The door is a shield to your house, right? The door is a shield that divides one portion of a building from another portion of a building, or from the outside of the building, separated from the inside of the building. King David's name is two doors put together, which represents a shield more specifically, and is a play on of his initials for his name, Dawud. Ha. Oh, and I have to repeat that because a lot of people that don't know better they don't understand the ancient language, 4,000 plus year old language, was it over 5,000 year language, that this is not a star rim fan, it's a shield. Stars do not look like that. Stars, according to the scriptures, are circular. Okay, that's a star. Star looks like this. This is a shield. This is a signet, it is initial, it is visually, and this is again why the ISUPK teaches the Lashon Kodash. When you understand our culture, even down to the language, then you'll understand why this is on, everything. Because it represents the root of David, which would then, of course, be from Judah himself, as far back as Judah, as far as the tribes of Israel, which would be the tribe that Christ comes out of, who is going to rule in the throne of David. In place of the throne of David. And so this is a signet that ties to Christ through tribal meanings that represent Judah. But this particular symbol represents all 12 tribes because it represents Israel, because the king of Israel during the time of David was a Judah. You understand? So da, ha means to reveal. Wa means fastener or hook, which is kind of like what you're looking at right here. It looks kind of like a pin that you can put in the ground to keep a tent. You know what I'm saying? Stuck in one place. Think about hooks. You think about screws and bolts and nails, things that fasten, things that join things together, right? And even the name Dawud is two doors that are joined together by a hook or a fastener. That's where we get the Dawud. So even the visual representation of his name actually makes sense. Za represents a weapon, okay? Or a scythe in this case, if you want to be more specific. Ka represents a wall, okay? Ta represents clay, mortar, malleable, forgeable materials, okay? But clay being, actually this is interesting too, because the king would use the signet or his ring that would have this shape and would dip it in the clay to make the shape into the clay, to make an impression into the clay, to then use the clay as a stamp on a letter that would seal the letter shut until it is opened by the intended recipient of the letter. Clay represents that. Clay is also used for things like plates, targets, you know what I'm saying, we go to the range, things like that, right? So clay, forgeable, useful material. Yah represents the hand, almost like an arm. We talk about the Most High's name, Yahweh, and how his arm was the hand of revealing everything that was created. So, yeah, his name is heavy. And there's no vowels in Yahweh. And the ancient Hebrew doesn't have V's, it doesn't have J's, it doesn't have, stuff like that. You got these four characters, the Tetragrammaton, that you see all throughout the Bible, all throughout the Old Testament. That would be his holy name or sacred name, okay? Ka represents the palm, right? The palm of the hand, particularly without the thumb, but the palm of the hand would be this right here, right? Which is what it looks like visually. La represents a staff, okay? A staff. Ma represents water. Na represents the seed, okay? Sa represents support, kind of like a staff, kind of like a wall, right? So there are some similarities there. I, that is not a vowel, that is not an O, that is I, that is pronounced I, and it literally represents an eye, okay? That's what your eyeball looks like, right? So you would start with a circle. Pa, you got the opening right here. Pa means mouth. Think Pac-Man. That may help you remember Pa a lot easier. Pac-Man, Pa, you understand? And no, not Pacquiao, but Pac-Man. Pa. Tazah represents side. Tazah represents the side. I like to think of this, whenever I see this character, it reminds me of two things. It reminds me of the character La and reminds me of the character Zah, because you have a staff and you have a weapon. And so Tazah is something that you see in a lot of things that have to deal with leadership roles or assistant leadership roles. And when I think Tazah, I think of an armor bearer, which would be somebody that stays behind a strong man, somebody who is of high rank or high stature, or a weapon specialist in a time of war. Sometimes that weapon specialist may want different types of swords, different types of shields or armor. And so sometimes there are dedicated soldiers that are, like I said, dedicated, that follow along with the armor, with the master of the weapon, and would carry it with them next to him as his sidekick. The best example I can think of in modern days time is when somebody's carrying a huge rocket launcher, or what the U.S. military calls a javelin, which is a fire and forget missile projectile system. Well, the armor bearer would be the one that would carry the backup missiles that would be used for the javelin, right? Or somebody that would be a spotter, that would be posted up next to a sniper. You understand? And may even have other extra pieces or components that a sniper can use to make best of the bullets that they have. So think of side as like almost like an armor bearer, or like a ambassador, or like a sidekick, right? Staff is also used in a lot of terms that are similar as well, which also represents leadership. Think Moses when he parted the Red Sea with the staff, or Moses when he showed the Pharaoh the strength of the Most High by having a staff that turned into a snake. The staff usually is something carried by a leader of the group. Tazah also represents a leadership or a leadership role of sorts that can even be an armor bearer. So that's something that you can see visually just from that character itself. You understand? I'm trying to think of a good example in our school. Captain Tazariak is an example of that, because he is an ambassador in our school who is more than just an armor bearer, somebody that can very easily bring the weapon of the scriptures against our enemies that worship other doctrines and things like that. So that's a perfect example. Captain Tazariak, his name starts with Tazah. I mean, visually means that as well. His name, all of that comes together with the Hebrew. Qua kind of looks like a Q. Qua actually means circle, which is funny because I actually looks more like a circle than qua, according to what we call modern, circles. But qua right here kind of has the same overall structure of a Q, but it's turned up and it almost looks like an umbrella, but it is a circle, or what we would consider a semi or half circle. Okay, Ra has a very similar look to Ah and Ga, slightly different, but it represents head, represents the head. Could also mean leadership, could also mean physically head, okay? So Ra means head. Shah represents tooth. It almost looks like teeth. Most kids, when they draw their first dinosaurs, they draw the teeth just like that, using that right there, boom, right? Shah means tooth. And then, of course, sign, that is the end. That's what Tha represents. So that is the Lashon Kodash, ancient Hebrew. Most High in Christ, Most High in Christ. I see y'all checking in. That's excellent. I left this on the board long enough so that y'all can actually get a chance to write some of this down. And yeah, it's been on there long enough. We can, of course, go over anything. You can always ask questions in the chat if you ever need any tutoring or anything like that. Of course, you can always reach out to me directly on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? And we can get the chance to really help you out when it comes to learning the language and learning how to read. There's most of the students in our school, most of them, I'm not gonna say all of them, but most of the ones that, or at least the men that are under me, have become excellent readers during the Sabbath service because of a program that I have just put together as far as the methods that I use to practice reading the Hebrew. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we're fluent, right? Because this is an ongoing process. This takes years to learn a whole new language, especially when you already are fluent in another language. It's kind of harder to learn a second language. So the Lashon Kodash is what it is. Very, very strong spoken language. There are two versions of every character in the ancient Hebrew, which we're going to go over at another day. But to give you an example, ah and ah. We'll go over a couple just so you can see. These are the same exact thing, ah and ah. Except this one's most likely anywhere over 4,000 plus years old, maybe 5,000. This probably about 2,700 to 2,800 years old. Way different. It's not. I don't even consider it pictorial. It's just a modern form of Hebrew that, if you learn both of these alphabets, and it takes a while to learn that Assyrian Hebrew. Modern Hebrew, it dates back to the Assyrian captivity of Israel, where the northern tribes had been brought into captivity under the Assyrians. 2,700 approximately. This is 28,000. 2,800 years old. Okay, so about 700 to 800 BC. How old this is? This is over 4,000 to 5,000 years old. It's much more pure. And there are no vowels. And there are no crazy extra versions of the characters. Another example, Ba. We talked about Ba and how it's a house. Looks like an immediate camping ground outside the house. And even basically looks like a typical house that a kid would draw when he's in kindergarten. You know what I'm saying? Or preschool. Ba in its modern form looks like this. You understand? I'm trying to draw them large characters so that it's easy for y'all to see it. Let me know if that's visually. Shalom Yahweh Shem Shabbat. Let me know if you can visually see that. Today's class is not so much about going over the alphabet, though. I want to cover a couple examples so you can see the difference between a 5,000-year-old language versus a 2,800-year-old language, right? What's more practical? I'll tell you right now, the ancient Hebrew is more practical because it visually represents something and can be used as a universal sign language of sorts, or a meme. I don't want to say meme language, but think about what memes do as far as being able to portray something through a photo, or being able to portray something through a short video, right? Getting straight to the point. That's kind of what a meme does. Our language is a hieroglyphic type or pictorial type of language that does very similar thing. Then you have Ga, right? Ga looks kind of like that right there, almost like a tilted over 7, okay? Ga in the modern Hebrew. That might not be a great example of that. Let me redo that. So it's like, yeah, there we go. That's Ga there right there. Abba and Ga. Abba and Ga. And modern Hebrew. We'll be covering that in another day. But today we're going to talk about some vocabulary words that'll give you a good understanding of some of the modern words that we use today. Okay. Now in ISUPK, we always try to push the envelope and utilize more Hebrew as we go along. We have a set, vocabulary set that almost everybody in the school has an understanding of, okay? One of the most important ones, and I'm gonna go ahead and remove this from the screen here, get some more room. There is a term that you're going to see a lot of brothers in the school using, and this term is a mandatory, mandated, universally normalized sign of respect, and it looks just like this. is right here. Kan Adawan Kan. Kan Adawan Kan. We're going to talk about what this is talking about, right? Kan means yes. That's a great word to know in any language, like just like how yes in English or sí in Spanish. Yes. Guess what? This is also the same word, so it also means yes. So the middle word, Adawan. Adawan. In the modern Hebrew, it may be pronounced Adanya, but Adawan is the older dialect version of it. Adawan means Lord or Sir. You understand? This is militant. Kan Adawan Kan is almost like how you would respond. Well, I don't want to compare it to Esau's military, but in fact, Esau's military does take some aspects from Israel because it takes their aspects from the Edomite Empire, and Esau was originally a Hebrew-speaking person. Okay, so even among the dukes of Edom, they used to speak Hebrew. Okay, and so you had Kan Adawan Kan as, well, sir, yes, sir, as a response. So this is a response that a lot of brothers in the school, sisters will say this too, especially sisters. This is something that a lot of brothers in the school will repeat or say after being given an order, okay, after being told something, after confirming something, as a sign of radio communication. As a way to give an expression of understanding of the order that is given. So this is a military term amongst the real Israelites. Okay, Kan Adawan Kan means yes, sir, yes. Which is funny because it's like sir, yes, sir in English, right? But it's yes, sir, yes in Hebrew. So it's a little different. You're even reading it backwards. Remember, Hebrew is read from right to left, and so Kan Adawan Kan. Notice that this is a great time to learn something here. Notice that I use a connector here where I tie this character to this character. These ones with these little short marks stay right under the character that's associated with it. Same thing with this one. But then I have these two connected, and then I have these two connected. Why is that? Well, this is something that you pick up over time. But these are here to assist you with how to pronounce the characters. Ka, na. Right? Where's Ka? Ka. It's a little bit scratched up. Let me fix that. And na. Ka and na becomes kan because the pronunciation of the word starts with the ka and ends with the na. But instead of saying ka na, you're taking off the pronunciation of the na, right? The character na. Because it's being connected to this character, that goes away. So it's just pronounced kan. You're going to see a lot of examples of that. We like to call them root words. Root words have usually, in most cases, will have something like this. Before you start implementing possessive adjectives and prepositions, a lot of times it is a really good idea to get enough experience with the vocabulary to where you could recognize certain vocabulary words and you'll know exactly what root word to pronounce with all the surrounding characters supporting the root word. Sometimes the supporting characters will change the way the root word sounds. There are exceptions to that. But to be safe, as you're learning, you can't ever go wrong with knowing the root word. Adawan is all one word. This is all one word. Where you have a, da, wa, and na, one is pronounced at the end. Just like how when we read the Most High's name, Yahweh is pronounced Yahweh, not pronounced Yahweh, it's Yahweh, where the last two characters are joined together. So you're starting with the way this one pronounces and ending with the way that this one is pronounced, but not pronouncing the entire version of that character by itself. You're saying one, Adawan, kan, Adawan, kan. That's an important phrase right there. Kan, Adawan, kan. What's another example? The what? This is another very commonly used term that the brothers will use in the school. This is supposed to be connected all the way. So like the water. The, wa, da. Again, this character here is normally pronounced ha. We're not saying the, wa, da, ha, but the root word, the wada, these last two characters are joined together. So another example, where you have the tha, the wa, the da, and the ha together becomes the wada. The wada. What does this mean? This means thank you, or thanks. The wada. Trying to draw this a little bit larger. The wada. That's another one. Everybody get that? Most High Christ. Let's get some more vocabulary. Switch things up. Learning a whole new language means you have to apply your mind quite a bit. Immersing yourself in another language, trying to find excuses to use these words. I don't even want to say it like that. Trying to find reasons to use these characters on a day-to-day basis. You know what I'm saying? Is what you want to do when you start to learn these characters. But why? Kind of one kind. Those are some of the most common phrases. Let's here's a good one. Book. Star. Star. Still using that rule where the last two characters are joined together. You're going to see a lot of that. Okay. Not every single word does that, but for the most part, the root words will do that. Book. Sapar. 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 Let's get house. I got something for you. I'm gonna show y'all something today. Bayat. 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 Bayat means house. Now, how did I bring this up? There's a very practical reason why we do this, okay? One of our prayers, see if I can get this on the screen, is the blessing of Israel. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Barak Lanawa, Wayashar Allah, Wahabayat Saparim. Wahabayat Saparim. Bayat Saparim. It's actually written like this, where Bayat is written first. Bayat Saparim. Well, hold on. We're missing something here. We know the word book is a singular word, meaning it's by itself. There's only one book. But if you want to make something plural, you add yam at the end, masculine, or yan at the end if it is feminine. Most of the time, you're just going to use yan. Yan is only used when you're referring to a literal group of women. So for objects, for group of men, or a mixed multitude that includes men and women, yam is used. So, sapar yam, Boom. This is being added to it. This is a modifier here. Sapar yam. Notice that now we have two joined together phrases. Well, again, that is because the root word, sapar, notice that I always put in caps the actual beginning of the characters, saparium. Yeah. What am I saying? I'm saying house of books. This is heavy right here. Because the translation in English, when we read that prayer, it's called something else. What is a house of books? Now, you might call it a library. But what's another thing that you call a house of books? School. The word school, you don't actually, I don't think you see the word school in the Old Testament, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check, because I could be wrong. Galatians says schoolmaster. You don't see the word school in the Old Testament. You don't. There's no word for school in the Old Testament. You'll see the word school in the Greek. The ISUPK in our prayers is called the house of books. House, Bayat. Book, Sapar. House of multiple books, Saparium. Bayat Saparium means school. But what we're saying is house of books. You understand that? Bayat Saparium means house of books. That's vocabulary right there for you. House of books. That's what it means. What are we talking about? Let me clean this up so it's a little bit easier. Because I had this first. Now that we have a complete understanding of what we're talking about here. Again, Hebrew is read from right to left, but for the sake of the pronunciation in English, the phrase will be written from left to right. So Bayath, Ba, Ya, and Da becomes Bayath. Saparium, Sa, Pa, Ra, Ya, and Ma become Sa, Har, Yum. Saparium. Again, when you're coming into the school, don't get overwhelmed by the characters, because you're going to see them enough over time and where you're going to start remembering. And I feel like the ancient Hebrew is a lot easier to grasp right here. I'm going to take a screenshot of this because this is excellent right here. House of books equals school. Give y'all a second to write that down. That's not correct. Let's get some more vocabulary. A bit more going. I just want to point that out because, again, I want y'all to understand the Hebrew as Hebrew, not as English. We have to stop thinking about our slave languages as what we want to know. If they've held our true language from us for all this time, we should be wanting to jump back into it with full effort, full understanding. You understand? What other words can we talk about today? Like that. Yeah. ata. Again, following that same trend of just simply tying the last two characters together. You'll see that a lot, okay? Those root words, you'll see that a lot. Bayan ata, what am I saying here when I say bayan ata? I'm saying you understand, which can be pronounced as you understand, like a statement, or you understand as a question, depending on how you pronounce it. So, bayan ata or bayan ata, right? Bayan ata means you understand. Bayan ata means you understand. Heavy. There's another thing that we say. We say this in English a lot, but we could be saying this could be a missed opportunity because this is Hebrew. Right? Bayan ata. I'm gonna start saying that now. Sometimes I surprise myself, man. I think that when it comes to any of this, we have to learn to innovate as much as possible. Let's do this now while we have time. You understand? We have this liberty to do that. Bayan ata. Bayan ata. Do you understand? Let's get another one on the board. I'm gonna leave that there. So I got room. Yeah, this is good. This is a good one. That's a good one. If you have any requests for any vocabulary words that you want to know, you could post them in the chat as well. What we talk about, we say "kan anawan kan" means yes sir, yes. What else we say? The water means thank you. Bayasapar means house of books. Oh, Bayasaparium means house of books. Bayan ata means you understand. What are some of the other things here? Some more vocabulary words we can go over. How about this? Uh-oh. This one does not have a connector. This one doesn't have a connector at the end. What are we saying? Zafana. Zafana means beard. It means beard. It means beard. There's something masculine about weaponry. So to have weaponry that grows the way a seed grows on your face, almost like a circle. Now, even the word beard says it when you look at it. That's Hebrew. You know what I mean? A masculine circle that grows. Come on now. Your beard grows like a circle, half circle at least, right? On your face. Or if you consider your beard almost like your full mane, with the top of your head included with the bottom, especially Judah. Because Judah, when they grow their fro out, that look like a circle as well. Zafana. I'm just looking at it and I see it. I see what it means. You know what I mean? Bayan ata. It makes you think different about language in general, and characters can make that much sense. I'm not going to say they all have a visual meaning, but I can see that. Zafana means beard. What's another word? Oh, really, really popular. This is one that you could teach your children. If you got any young ones growing up. Mother. Father. Mother is Ama. Ama. Mhm. Man. Ama. Father provides the way cattle provides. You know what I'm saying? Look at the understand the Hebrew deeper now. What do we say Ah means? It means cattle. Ah means cattle. What is it that parents do? They provide nourishment, they provide shelter, they provide a lot of different things, but we know that cattle is also a representation of food, is also provisions. Okay, another word for food is provisions. A father here, in this particular case, provides shelter, a home, protection. Abba means protecting. Just looking at it. The one that brings provision and protects. The one that's the head of the house. Because we know that Ba does mean house. Was it Yath means house as the full phrase, but the character Ba does mean home and the immediate shamar area of the home. So Ah and Ba can mean protecting and provision. Same thing with mother, food and water. Ma means water. What is it that a mom does? They provide nutrients for their children. That's Amma, Abba, and Amma. That's Hebrew. Vayanata, do you understand? You gotta separate yourself. May I have another? Are you asking about that actual phrase, may I have another? Or can I have another? Respect. Okay, respect. Let's see. I can do that. I can actually do that. Let's see. Give me 1 second, let me look it up. So the word respect, H8159, sha'ai, to look to regard. Let me see if there's another example. It should be the same word. Yeah, 8159, respect. A little bit more vocabulary over here. Respect. Is sha'ai. Sha'ai. It's pronounced like this. Sha, and then I. Sha'ai. Respect. And it means to gaze in regard, to look about. It actually says it differently. Respect. An alternative version of the word is panah. No. Page 647. There's a lot of vocabulary words. How about what's another one? Chain. Now, when we think of the word chain, nowadays we think of a chain like a necklace, like jewelry. But chain could also mean shackle in the ancient Hebrew. So we think of it like we use the word chain as a slang term. We don't say necklace nowadays. Like, yo, you got that necklace? No, you say you got that chain because it's a thick material, right? A chain is a thick, tough material. So chain would be zayakwa. 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 Sometimes that chain may be gold. Sometimes that chain may be silver. These are also currencies. Gold and silver are not just used for decoration. They can be used for other things. Gold can be used as a weapon. Silver can be used as a weapon. Very strong metal. Iron is another strong metal. Nickel can be another weapon or a currency. Valuable, what they call precious metals. Some of them are more precious than others. Copper is not as precious as gold, right? It's not as common. Well, gold is not as common as copper. How do we say gold chain in Hebrew or silver chain in Hebrew? Kasab, no, it's gold. Gold is zahab. Zahab. I don't want to be worldly. Of course, these are materialistic things, but this is the practical use, right? Zahab. People like those things. They are a currency. Okay, it's almost like you're wearing currency when you have jewelry. Okay, it's just like because it means I have assets that are valuable. But gold can be used for scientific purposes. Can be used in nowadays it's used in computer chips. It's used in really high intensity scattered light beams and all types of equipment that is used that we take for granted because we don't know what goes into building it. But some of the most precious metals are used for really intense things. Diamonds are used to cut things, right? Diamond tip saws are used in construction to cut through pretty much anything, right? Precious metals. I'm thinking of the practical use of it because this is the Israelite School of universal practical knowledge, but for the sake of learning, it's cool to know some of this stuff too. Silver is kasab. 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 So if you want to say silver chain, gold chain, which would you say first? Chain of gold? Because I think Hebrew is more pronounced backwards than English. So instead of saying silver chain, you were saying chains silver. So it would be more like Zayakwa. Zayakwa. Zahab. Remember, Hebrew is read from right to left. That's the reason why in English we would say it backwards from Hebrew, because we would say gold chain because we're used to reading left to right, but Hebrew is read from right to left. So we say chain of gold when we say it in Hebrew. Zayakwa Zahab. Zayakwa Zahab. Gold chain. Zayakwa Kasab. Silver chain. It's like this one. Right? Zayakwa Zahab. It's some practical things. Cool to know, but there are more important vocabulary words that are out there. So let's learn them. Before we do that, there's just one last materialistic vocabulary word that we unfortunately have to use all the damn time, and that's shakwal yum. Shakwal yum. Let me know if the screen gets blurry so I can recalibrate it. Building the school right now requires much of this. Shequal. Shequal means a currency unit. Currency. Shequalium means currency or money. People say money. But you'll learn quickly in the kingdom of heaven, money is not going to get people so far. Barter, yeah. Barter. Barter is a good word. I'm trying to think if there is an actual literal word for it. Currency, shequalium. And again, silver is a form of shequalium. Gold is a form of shequalium. Right? Shekels are made out of silver, are made out of other things. Pennies in modern day times made out of copper. I don't think nickel is made out of actual nickel though. I'm curious. I'm not sure. But one thing we know is that gold and silver are definitely valuable. Diamonds, valuable. In a bartering system, they would be used as currency. But America is so fake, they give you paper that's supposed to be a reserve currency, meaning a fiat currency is supposed to represent gold. It's supposed to represent silver in the form of paper for quicker and less risky transactions. And of course, because it's lighter. Now you don't even have to have any physical material. They just take your word for it in the form of digital currencies that are used on blockchains or that are used in electronic banking systems and things like that. So it's just gone in a completely different direction. But at the end of the day, when all of that fails and goes to crap, what's going to be used as shequalium or currency are things of value, right? That's why when somebody goes to prison, the first thing that they lose is their golden teeth, the silver teeth, because of the value of that material, that mineral, that element, right? But if somebody still has all their teeth, they're winning the fights, right? If the world ends and the electronic system gets taken out by EMP and your bank accounts don't work, what do you physically have on you that's valuable, right? That's the bartering system that you're talking about. Firstborn, friend, gold, silver, slab. Let me get some more. We talked Shapar. Bayasaparium means house of books, means school. Let's get some more. Let me see. Since we're on that topic, here's a good one. Defend, Nagan. Say you have a family, right? Ganan. Defend. This is heavy. And you notice I'm trying to be consistent. Sometimes I don't do it. But I always use a capital character at the beginning of the pronunciation of one of these characters. Again, read from right to left. Ga, na, and na. But since these two noms are put together, it's ganan. Ganan means to defend. Defend. What's some ways that we can use that? We're just going over vocabulary words. In another class, we'll try to implement modifiers so that this can be quick chunk phrases that can be used on a day-to-day basis. Defend, what's another one? Oh, yeah. Comfort, clothe, let's get some good ones. Build, but not. Y'all seeing my bald ass head, but nah. But nah, it's build. I highly recommend taking these notes. Because just like how I recommended that when you practice the characters on your notebooks, and then you go to the next one, ba, ba, ba. The more that you do this, the quicker you'll start memorizing the alphabet. But what you could do is you could do the same thing with words also, where you could write the word, say it, and then without really putting a whole lot of effort into it, you'll start to remember what it is. Build, bana, defend, ganan. It's another word. Entice, air, feed, zawan, fix. These are Issachar phrases right here. Fix, kawan. Kawan. I ain't gonna lie, I feel like these would be great names for Hispanics. Build, fix. You'd be like, Kawanya, meaning I fix or I build. Banaya, Banaya, or Banaya would mean I build or builder, defender. Ganan, Bana, Kawan, Kawan. I have the pronunciation written right here. Fix, build. We know what they mean. These are just little quick vocabulary words for you to write down. I'm trying to organize the board here. Got a little space here for another vocabulary word. Let me check the comments. Are there any other requests? Barter. Can you spell out how to say currency? Oh, Khan, of course. So, money is sha, qual, yum. Shaqualium. Again, the capital ones are the characters. Sha, qual, yum, shaqualium. You understand how I'm doing that? I have the capital letters that represent one of these characters. Shaqual, notice that qual and la are put together. So I'm not saying shaqual la yama. I'm saying shaqual yum. Why? Because the root word is shaqual. Shaqual means currency in the singular form. Okay? But when you add yam at the end, that makes it plural. It's like Spanish, actually. Spanish does these rules. Spanish does those. Shaqualium. Excellent. Excellent work, Rudy. Me and Rudy over here asking really good questions, man. Really good questions. How much time have we got left today? Oh, we're already over the limit. Let's get a couple more, right? I want to get a couple more. Again, these classes are not designed to overwhelm you. What we have on the board here are excellent vocabulary words to use. We're going to get a couple more today. Drink. I don't want to. Oh, you know what? I am going to do that. Shaqua. Drink. Shaqua. drink. We know the word con. And we know the word la'a. Means yes, no. Now, this is vital because the commandments in the Bible, and especially the 10 Commandments of the Bible, start off with la'a and then the rest of the sentence, where it'd be like, thou shalt not. You could just say la'a, it means the same thing. Don't or no. So if you want to say don't drink, you would say la'a shakwa. Don't drink. La'a shakwa. I'm going to write this on the big board so we can get a new sentence on here. Sometimes I got to remind my damn self this very phrase right here that I'm about to write on the board. La'a. Oh, sure. La'a. No. Shakwa. The word drive, you know I had to do it. Nahag. Nahag. Good. Nahag. But I'm going to use a modifier. So, now, whenever we're using a preposition, we're going to add a modifier to this. It's going to be our first modifier that we're going to do today. A preposition is used at the beginning of a word to modify it. Okay? So, what are some of the prepositions that we have? With, as, those, and. Oh, there's the one we need. Wa, and. Let's add it. Wa. And. No drink and drive. Or, as what we would say, thou shalt not. Or don't. Don't is the same thing as thou shalt not. La'a shakwa wa nag. Let me write the pronunciation. Again, it's read from right to left, but it's la'a shakwa. I guess I should color code that, huh? Let me see. Let me do that. La shakwa wana ha. La shakwa. I feel like this is kind of terrible. La shakwa wana ha. Wa. The root word drive is in blue, right? Nahag. We have it written right here. Nahag. Nahag. Right to left. The word drink is shakwa, which we have right here. And of course, la'a means no, just like how we have right here. So, no, or thou shalt not, or don't, right? Don't drink and drive. La'a shakwa wanahad. If you can remember that, tell yourself that next time you drink. Yeah. excellent life lesson. Do not learn it the hard way. I don't know if it was dangerous to drink and ride a camel back then, but we got vehicles with many horsepowers and roads that are dangerous, other drivers that are dangerous, so gotta be careful. Gotta be careful. Let's leave it at that. Yeah, there's room for more. Maybe we'll recap on this next class, and then we will continue here. Thou shalt not drink and drive. I gotta get that. I'm gonna, yeah. That's excellent. All right. Today's class has been excellent. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, this is the Shalom. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Barakatam. Yahweh Shema Atan Hashem Yahushua. This is, of course, the ISUPK. It started out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, in 1969. We're under commanding General Yohanan. And we're here to teach the truth of the Bible that so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians are the real Israelites according to the scriptures. We've learned quite a bit of vocabulary today, from Abba to Amma, Zakwana, which means beard, Kasab, which is my favorite type of chain, silver, gold, Zahab, chain, Zayakwa, respect, currency, defend, build, fix, drink, drive, yes and no, and others. But today we built a sentence. We said, La'a shakwa wa nahag, which means thou shalt not drink and drive. Most times. Most people are going to do that. You got to be careful. You know what I'm saying? Don't do something that you can hurt yourself with. So with that, shalom. Tune in to us next time. Hope you guys like the class. Make sure to like the video, share it on all platforms, push this truth out, give a chance for other Black, Hispanic, and Native American Indians to get used to their real language, the oldest 5,000 plus year old language of the holy tongue of Ashwan Kodash. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Catch us next week, and shalom.